here in the kitchen, and so we're gonna get right to it. So today we have two recipes. One of them's baked, and one of them is gonna be just right on the pan like normal. We're gonna be cooking an apple and peanut butter power bar, kind of like a meal to go breakfast replacement bar. And then we're gonna also cook just a healthy omelet with lots of vegetables inside. We have a meat alternative you can throw in there as well. Both of these meals are very common ingredients you guys might have in your home. I'm going to list through them right now. So first up, we're going to be doing the apple and peanut butter. Yes.
Corey, Mary from Mary and Mike wanted to know if this was going to be recorded because she wasn't going to be able to make it.
Yes, and we're answering her on your
oh, okay.
Facebook, so we'll be sure to get that out to her.
Okay.
We're a little bit behind on our recorded videos to YouTube, but they're going to be coming. We'll probably have to drop 15 or so videos onto YouTube.
Okay.
This next week. So we got lots of classes. So today's power bar, it is just a kind of like a meal replacement. I got it. You can see what it looks like right here. We're going to bake it into one nice little pan, and then we will cut it, and hopefully it'll be cool by the time we're all done cooking today, and then I can show you what it's going to look like. But what you're going to want for that power bar, you're going to need some apples. You're going to use 1.5 apple, but I'm going to use 2 because I really like that appley flavor. You're going to do 2 eggs beaten. You need 1 1/4 cup of dry rolled oats. You want to make sure you get the dry rolled oats. You don't want to get the quick oats because you don't want that to cook too fast or get too soggy for you. You're also going to use 1.5 cup of wheat bran. Now, I didn't really like the shape of regular bran. It's like little twigs. So I just went with a raisin bran, and I picked out the raisins. I felt like this would be a lot easier for the power bar. It's thinner. I crush them down whenever I put them together with the oats, so it's nice and small. I just didn't want like twigs to eat. Plus, I'm not really been a huge fan of bran, so we'll see how that goes. How are you doing? And outside of that, you're gonna need salt. You're gonna need some honey. You got a little honey bar, little jar of honey right here. It was actually made by one of our city staff. And finally, you want to get 3/4 cup of peanut butter. It asks for crunchy peanut butter because you want to get that extra nuts, the extra energy in there. But I went with a slightly healthier alternative. I went with half almond butter and half crunchy peanut butter. So it's not full crunchy peanut butter. It's going to have a little bit different of a taste. The almond butter is also very liquidy, so you want to make sure you really mix it up when you get it out of your jar. And then you're just going to use cooking spray whenever you put it on your pan. You want to make sure that you preheat your oven to 375 degrees. So I have it over here. And we're going to start with mixing all of our ingredients. So please forgive me as this is not going to be the best visual. So in my little bowl here, I already have our rolled oats and the wheat bran put together, okay? And so we are going to grab these eggs, which are in the fridge. I've got my 2 eggs here. And of course, you're just going to beat them nice and easy. Oops. My wife is not going to be very happy if I leave a mess around the kitchen today, so I'll have lots to clean up. All right, got my whisk. We're just going to beat our eggs. And then in addition to all the ingredients, the way we're going to prepare the apples is we're going to grate them. Now, I tried grating them. It is not easy, okay? Not easy at all to run an apple through a grate because all it ends up turning out is mush. And it's not mush that goes on the inside of the grate. It just sticks on the outside of the grate. And so what I thought I was going to do is instead of grating them, I'm just going to food process them. There we go. We're not going to food process them too much. We don't want to make a mush. We do want to still have some of that texture and that toughness to your ingredient. And I just now realized I forgot one ingredient. 1.5 cups of instant non-fat milk. All right. So just to repeat here, we have 1 1/2 apples, 2 eggs, 1 1/4 dried roll oats, 1/2 cup of wheat bran, 1 1/2 cup of instant non-fat dry milk powder, an 1/8 tablespoon of salt, but I recommend just do a pinch. You guys have been cooking for years. You know exactly how much you need to do. 2 tablespoons of honey, 3/4 cup of crunchy peanut butter, and then some cooking oil spray for your pan. You can use whatever you want. If you don't like cooking oil spray, you can rub it down with some butter. You don't want to put too much because you don't want it to burn, just enough to help it non-stick. And it's going to be on that parchment paper as well. So you're going to make sure you have some parchment paper. For when we are preparing the apples, what you need to do before you throw them in the processor is you need to decore them. Make sure you get rid of that core, get rid of those seeds. Drop it on the floor so you have something to wipe. There you go. And we are going to grab all these nice little apple slices, and I'm going to struggle opening this. There we go. We're just going to drop them right into our little food processor here. All right. Put that on right there. Squish it down a little bit. Make sure it's sealed. And before you put the second apple in, because you're going to need some space, just run this through real quick just to get it down. All right. Perfect. 3 little punches, and it's already looking like just like a small slaw, maybe like some really diced up onions. Excellent. That's exactly the kind of texture you want. You don't want it to be really chopped up. In fact, I'm going to take this opportunity because I don't want that to get more chopped. I'm going to put this stuff here in my bowl off to the side. And then we'll do the second one, nice and easy. Throw these in here. Make sure you are washing all of your ingredients. And when you're doing this, you want to keep the skin on. Skin has a lot of nutrients when it comes to apples. You're going to have a lot of good healthy options for your body. You don't want to skin it. In addition, keeping the skin on is going to help protect your apple from turning brown, turning yucky before you even get it in the oven. There we go. Three little chunks. And we are good to go with our apple. Yeah. So nice and good. Looks like a little nice coal, like a slaw right here. You're going to have these bigger chunks of apple. Make sure you pick through and take some of those out. You don't want to get that where the skin, it's just these big chunks of skin that didn't get propped up by the food processor. Of course, if you are grating it, you're not going to have that issue. You're just going to have a lot of mush, in my opinion. Now, we're going to mix in the apple. Supposed to have 1.5 apples. I processed 2 apples, and therefore I'm going to make sure that I don't use all of my apple. Going back here, picking out all these bigger little chunks that we have. And didn't get caught up in the food processor. Making sure we have just small little bits. Put some more apple in there. Excellent. Just like that. We'll set this aside. Now, we're going to add our egg last, because your egg's really going to stick to everything. You want to be, once you're ready to add that egg in, that should be your last ingredient whenever you go and mix. So we added our apple. We're going to mix this around just a little bit. Get those oats, get those brains mixed up with everything. Good. All right, now we need our dry milk. And dry milk, ask for 1.5 cups of instant milk powder. I have my 1 cup here. All right. Well, for future warning, or for future awareness, 1 quart, one of these little packets is 1 cup. Even though I searched online that 1 quart was 4 cups, it's not true. So, might have a little bit less milk, but you know, you always do with what you got. All right, so we mix that around. We have our bran, our oats, our milk. We need to put our salt. Nice big pinch of salt in there. Good. And 2 tablespoons of honey. Ooh. That's 1. And get another big one there. Excellent. And that's 2. We have 2 tablespoons of honey. And I got this big spoon thick of honey. Dip it in your little mixture. Use your spatula to scrape it all off. That way you got almost all of your honey right there in your ingredients. Now move over, we get our peanut butter. Same thing, plop it down in there. Kind of spread it out whenever you pour it in there. Because we're going to add all these ingredients and then we're going to mix with the egg. So this is just going to sit here for a second. Really get in there. Get all that on your spoon. Shove your spoon on the inside. Use your spatula to scrape the rest of it off. And then stick your spatula right inside. Get the rest of that. Make sure you get all that you can. Nice and good. Excellent. So we have our peanut butter. We have our honey. We have our salt. The last thing that we need to add now is our eggs. Make sure you beat them real quick just once again. And pour right in there. And then you need to get right into mixing with this now. Mix this around. And at this point, it's getting a bit tougher to mix. You have a lot more ingredients in there, and the ingredients we've added are definitely very mixing or very sticky. If you need to, you can switch to a wooden spatula now, and that way you can really get this moving around because your silicone spatula is probably going to start bending as you're pushing it against this and trying to get all this mixed up. But I'm just going to stick with this, mix it around, nice and good. So you can see what it looks like now, a whole lot of mush, which is good. It's excellent. This is going to bake really nicely. It's like we're making really healthy cookies. Very similar, maybe hopefully in texture to like a Lar bar or one of those Cliff bars. Energy replacement. This is lots of protein in this with your nuts, with your almond. You got lots of good fat, nutrients coming in. Good fiber as well. Excellent source of fiber with the rolled oats and the bran. And you can mix it up too. The apples, I could say you could make this with pear. You could put raisins in with this mix as well. You could add cinnamon and put raisins, make it a cinnamon raisin bran. You know, and if you really like bran more than oats, you can also adjust those levels too, so you have more bran than you do have oats. Because right now you're using almost double oats than you are bran. And they're both pretty similar. So, but if you did do that, I would recommend making sure you have the flakes, because if you just had the regular bran with the little twigs, you're not going to really get as much surface area when it comes to all of this. All right. So let me move all this stuff out of the way real quick. Get my pan. mix out in the pan, we put it in the oven. And this only takes 15 minutes to bake. Real nice and easy. In fact, we'll probably have to, stop what we're doing with our other recipe to take this out of the oven in the middle of it. So just got some pan, canola oil spray. Mix this up just one more. Now we're gonna do it in big chunks here and make some big balls right there down the middle. As best as you can, try to keep it nice and in the middle, because then you're just gonna smooth it out. You don't wanna have to rake it, you just wanna be able to smash it down, compress it into a tighter ball or a bar. Get all the ingredients, scrape the side. There's probably be some ingredients that didn't get mixed up, so use this opportunity before you get rid of all the little last bit. Mix everything in with it. Get as much as you can. And good. Now, just got a knife so I can clean off some of my silicone here. Just get all this stuff down and on the plate, and then begin to smush it. You want it to be nice and level because you don't want some parts to cook while some parts don't cook. So start towards the middle and push out. Find a good thickness in the middle, start pushing out. You're gonna make sure you don't want to see any parchment paper. So push out. And then you can pull back in at the edges. A nice even bar. Now this is gonna make 8 servings. You can definitely run 2. If you double it up, you could probably put 2 of these in the oven. Just make sure whichever one that you have that's below, you let it stay in there just a little bit longer, or above, depending on where your heat's coming from. All right. Good. Use your knife one last little bit. Scrape all that and just drop it right there in the middle of your plate. Excellent. So, like I said in the beginning, 375 degrees, that's going to be when you are baking this. You can see here, looks so lovely, so healthy, and I wasn't the best job at getting all the green. In fact, ooh, I almost lost it there. You can see that big chunk of green right there at the bottom. So that'll be fun. So I'm going to put this right back down, throw this in the oven. All right. All right, so my timer is in the oven now, or my pan is in the oven for 15 minutes. We're going to take it out in 15 minutes. Give me one moment now to prepare so I can get into the rest of the ingredients. We're going to start with our omelet. What we're going to start with is the inside. Unlike some omelets where you're going to throw in those fresh ingredients, I wanted to get more seasoning in there, and so we're going to cook our ingredients in the inside off to the side, and we're going to throw them in the omelet once it's ready, okay? So,
Corey, did you say you'd be sending us this recipe?
I will type it into the chat.
Perfect.
As soon as I get a chance, I will type this into the chat. Yes, so in fact, I'll do that right now. So we have apple peanut butter power bar. All right, so that's what I used here. You notice though on the instant non-fat dry milk powder, I only used 1 cup because I didn't really measure that right, but it does recommend you use 1.5 cup. We'll see how it ends up making a difference. You know, and I'm sure you can. I really don't know what you would put in there instead as an alternative. So now let's get right into this. All right, so I'm going to launch on my phone so I can give you a closer look at the ingredients, but I'm also going to shift my screen and camera over and let me see, just make sure everything's good to go there so that you guys can see all that I'm doing. Excellent. Okay, it's a little bit blurry, but I think we're good. All right, so for our ingredients today, I wanted to go with, being an Italian, kind of a Mediterranean breakfast. We have all vegetables that we're going to be cooking in our recipe, but just in case you really wanted some meat, if you wanted to add some meat into your omelet, I have turkey sausage links that I recommend. Now, if you are one that really likes a bit more healthier, like a bit more fat into your breakfast, you might want to just opt to go with the kind of reduced sodium sausage breakfast links, because the turkey links do not make very much fat at all, if anything. So if you're banking on using that oil to help cook with some of your other ingredients, it's not going to work with your turkey. Okay, so today we're not going to have the turkey in there, but I do have it off to the side, and we might throw it in the end. And if we have enough time, I have an extra side dish that I thought I would just do to make some butternut squash home fries, but I don't really need to show you guys if we don't get to that, because it's as simple as putting some butter, putting some butternut squash in a pan and letting it fry as you baste it, and that's it. It's just an extra thing for the outside. And yes, Kathy, it is baked at 375 at 15 minutes, and we sprayed the parchment paper with cooking oil. Thank you for that. So for our ingredients today, I have 3 cloves of garlic. I have 1/2 onion, 2 eggs beaten with 1 1/2 teaspoon or tablespoon of water. We have some McCormick Perfect Pinch Italian seasoning, and I only picked this because it has all the seasoning that I wanted to add, which is going to be basil, rosemary, thyme, oregano, and sage. All right, so you got those classic Italian seasonings there. I'm just going to use, as it says in the bottle, a perfect pinch. So we're not getting too much. I don't want it to be over flavorful, but I wanted to have just a little bit of that touch going on there. Of course, we also have salt and pepper. I have baby bella mushrooms cut in half. All right. I have little cherry tomatoes cut in half. I got a big red bell pepper, but you can use green, you can use orange. I just, they have slightly different tastes, but I really picked them for their texture and their color. And I like the red was really going to contrast well with the yellow of the egg. And last but not least, we have some fresh spinach, baby spinach there. All right. And so that's everything for our omelet now. So we're going to start cooking. We're going to put some oil in a pan and heat that up. Oh. Who's there? All right. So while that heats up, we're going to talk. I would like to figure out what you ladies would like to hear or see from me cooking next month. What kind of what have I not really touched on? What kind of do you want me to? I mean, I have a lot of tools I can bring in. I can cook something with an Instant Pot. Do you guys have a lot of Instant Pot or interested in that? We can do an air fryer as well. You know, we can go more Tex-Mex, Latin, or even do some like classical French cuisine. I want to hear what you guys would like me to cook.
I don't have a fryer, one of those air fryers, but we've talked about it. But I'd like to see how that works.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
If it's worth a purchase. I don't know if anyone's got one of those.
Yeah, I use my air fryer a lot. It's easy for reheating things too, because it still keeps the crispness for it.
Yeah,
Gotcha.
yeah, and they the air fry has become very popular lately. They've made a lot of different brands and types as well. In fact, this past Christmas, I even saw an air fryer oven, and it showed on the picture you could stick a whole turkey in there.
Yeah, the one Bob was looking at the other day, they put a pot roast in there.
Mm-hmm.
Pot roast.
Yeah, I mean, the air fryers they're very good. You are limited on how much you can throw in there. You definitely can't pack it full because it needs a lot of space for the air. It needs more surface area of all of what it's cooking. Anything that's touching together is not going to be air fried. As much as you really want to bounce it together, it's not going to be perfect that way. And so, you know, that's one thing to really look out for with the air fryer. But I love ours. It's really nice. Making French fries, and you don't really want to worry about the oven. Go well in there. And you know, it uses a lot less energy, and it is a lot healthier when you consider a lot of the alternative cooking methods you have to do. So if you want to make like fried chicken and you want, or chicken wings is a good example. You can make chicken wings in the air fryer. I don't recommend you want to sauce them afterwards. So don't sauce them and throw them in there and cook them that way. Although you don't really sauce them before you cook chicken wings otherwise. So
I'd also be interested in like you said, the Instapot or pressure cooker, the one pot meals, because those to me are so simple to be able to do, especially if it isn't Instapot, if it's crock pot where you can put it in and go about your day and it's ready when you're ready. So those kind of recipes would be wonderful.
Yes, definitely one pot meals would be great. And I thought that would actually work out really well with the Instant Pot meals because they work for like a slow cooker meal, which I can kind of show you guys the prep and then have one already finished and then ready to go, kind of like I'm in my own TV show where it's just really ready to go.
And you did the dump cake outside, but dump cakes would be something
They're so easy
to do. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, I love to do mini dump cakes, just small little like ceramic bowls. You can cook them in the oven. Just a little tiny personal one. It works really well. Like in a what's the one dish where you burn it on top?
Creme brulee.
Creme brulee. Yeah, like in one of those little.
So could you do then an individual dump cake in the air fryer?
I'm not sure.
Because I hate to heat up a whole oven for just one little individual.
I would think so.
Yeah.
One of the demonstrations that Bob was watching on when he was looking at them, there was like a little contraption that looked like little cupcake holders, and they had 4 in there.
Yeah.
Some
in the air fryer.
Yeah, in the air fryer.
Yeah, and well, you can even put teacups in there for as cakes. Yeah.
And Tex-Mex is always good for me. I love Tex-Mex.
I'm doing a taco casserole bake tonight anyway. So yeah.
Oh, maybe I can show you guys how to make enchiladas because that's kind of a one plate meal. I mean,
that would be
because you have a lot of things, but it does. I mean, it's a casserole. So I think-
or tamales, if you,
or tamales, yes.
Tamales.
Oh, that'd be, everyone's gonna
Especially,
make fun of me. I don't think I can roll
maybe
tamales very
around October, so we can plan them for Christmas and New Year.
Exactly. All right, so here's what we'll do. Our next
Okay.
class, we're gonna go over an air fryer, and
Air fryer.
then we're gonna do one pot meal. And then after that, we'll either look into Instant Pot or we'll take it south of the border, either do Tex-Mex, or we'll go even further south, maybe even hit something in like Chile, Argentina, Peruvian. I
Brazil.
was watching Hell's Kitchen last year's season, and the runner-up was a Peruvian chef, and she was excellent food. Everything that she
And-
made, I really wanted to make.
And it would be nice to get a good pad thai recipe because I love to make that or try
My
that.
wife makes a very good pad thai. I'm not a huge
Okay.
fan of it, but I will have to have her as a guest cook one time.
Okay,
And she can cook
perfect.
for us. So
Why are you fine?
my oil's definitely heated up by now.
Okay.
Give me one moment real quick. Let me just make sure. All right. Excellent. Okay. Sorry, I had to answer that. So, hands heated up. Nice and good. All right, we're going to throw our garlic in first. Get that around. Okay. We're going to put our ingredients step by step based on how much we want to cook them. And you don't want to get these ingredients too watery. So you're not going to put the tomatoes in first because they're going to lose a lot of their water as you cook them. You're going to want to put the tomatoes are going to be last. Probably before that, it's going to be the bell pepper. Onion's going to go next after garlic. And then we're going to have mushrooms. And I may even throw mushrooms in there earlier because I want them to be a little bit more squishier. They're very tough. You know, the less you cook them raw, and I want them to be squishy, and I want them to absorb that flavor too. I really want them to be very flavorful. So I got some ingredients. Now you don't want to wait till your garlic's brown because they're going to be in here a while. So just let it sizzle, let it sit there in the oil for just a little bit, and then just get right into the next ingredient. And we're going to put our onions next. Nice and easy. Just mixing it around, keeping it on the pan because you want to get the heat there the whole time. Make sure everything's good. Now, next we're going to add the mushrooms and we're going to add some of the seasoning now. We're going to have that seasoning in there early so it can, you know, kind of get around, get absorbed by that mushroom, get absorbed by some of the other stuff. All right. Now, a lot of the stuff that I picked here, probably more than just one person. I'm only going to cook one omelet, but this is definitely more for 2, maybe even 3 people. The great thing about it is that, you know, omelets are just for breakfast, but you can also have them for dinner. And you can just save all this already cooked vegetable, and then you can just put it right in the pan, heat it up really quickly, and put it right into your omelet the next time you're cooking. So, mix these around. All right, add some of this. All right, so I got a lot in my hand here. I'm gonna take a nice big pinch, squeeze it all around. Excellent. And just put the other ones. All right, mix this up. And throw the spinach in here now. Yes, I hear you. All right. So you want to make sure when you're cooking your spinach, you want to get it to be, you want to get it nice and mushy. It should, as it starts to cook, it should start to wilt as well. Some of that water is going to come out, and you're just going to let this, now this is going to be a time where you just kind of let it sit there and wait. I know I don't have too many of cook it this for 10 minutes, cook it that for 10 minutes. I just threw this recipe together based on looking at other recipes. And it's really just a like look and feel kind of recipe. You know, you just got to know, you guys cook for so long, you're more than experienced at this. I'm not having some special crazy ingredients here. They're things everyone finds in their kitchen anyways. You can see already it started to wilt. So I'm gonna set that there. Grab this, a beautiful little all right, so now the picture here, let me shift this back over, show you what we're cooking right here, cooking with. So you can see here, edges of it got a little burnt. That's not from the butter, it's not from the cooking spray. What that's from is that's from when I squished out all that, all the stuff and I pulled it back. It ended up being just really thin and I got burnt, okay? So now what you're gonna do, because you still need to let it rest, but before you let it rest, you need to score it, okay? So you need to do the top, but you don't score it fully through, okay? Nice and easy. Just cut it right down the middle on top. I'm gonna cut this into 9 different bars. You don't want to make them small either. You want to give these good size. This is meant to be a meal replacement. You don't want to be starving when you have a meal replacement, because why, ladies? Why do you not want to be starving when you make a meal replacement?
Because then you'll eat more.
Exactly. If your meal replacement isn't a meal, it doesn't help you because you go out there and you eat and you might as well just eat a regular meal.
Eat more ice cream.
All right, so you can see now my spinach I put in there basically gone. Not very much there now. It's definitely reduced in size. And so we're going to throw in some more ingredients. We're going to take a nice big helping handful of bell pepper. I picked a really big bell pepper because I always like to get the most for your money. And when it says the bell peppers are a certain amount each, I never get the smallest one. But I also realized that I really wasn't going to be using the bell pepper for anything else, so I cut it all the way up. I have it left off to the side. That'll be my own problem to figure out what I want to do. But you don't want to put too much bell pepper in there because then the inside of your omelet's going to be way too crunchy. You want to make sure that you just a good amount, maybe a third, maybe a fourth of what you had already. All right, so now we're gonna season with salt and pepper. Not too much. We don't want to be over seasoned. Maybe a pinch and a half or so. And some black pepper. Good. Because we're seasoning the inside of this omelet a lot, you're going to be light on the seasoning of your actual egg. We might put a little bit of salt in there. We'll probably put a little bit of pepper, but we're not going to be going normal seasoning because you're going to be very seasoned in the inside of this. And after all this, I will write down the recipe as I did before in case you guys are kind of crazy. That way we can see what worked and what didn't work in the end, and we can get you the right recipe. Whew. I feel like I cook healthier for you guys than I ever cook, ever. Which is good, that's the point, right? But I need to start getting with this and sticking with these cooking.
I have a recipe where you put the ingredients in egg and then you cook it in the muffin tin, and then you have like muffin omelets. after
Mhm.
you bake them, you can put them in the freezer and just pop them out and heat them up in the microwave whenever you're hungry. So those are really good snacks for my grandchildren and when we go camping.
I saw that. I actually was very close to cooking that today, but I thought I didn't want to have too much stuff in the oven because those require baking. I didn't know how it was all going to mix up. And so I was like, you know what, I'll cook it on top. But I saw that. I was very close, Kathy.
Yeah. It's a great recipe, and you can add, I use Canadian bacon or real bacon. You can add meat if you want, or like you said, the turkey sausage, cheese. Yeah, you can play with it a lot. So just FYI.
So now we're putting our tomatoes in. I'm putting tomatoes cut side. They're cut in half, cut side down. All right. What I want to do is really, almost like we're trying to get that sear. Not really going to get very much of a sear when it comes to the tomato, but it's going to soften it up, almost like it's steaming it from the inside. The heat's really heating it up. It's boiling the liquids in the inside. It's going to make the skin softer that way. If you flipped it the other way, all that moisture is just going to come out. We want some moisture to come out, but we don't want a lot of it. You want to still keep it. You want to make sure you don't pick too big of tomatoes either, because if they're too round on top, that's going to make your omelet too big. It's not going to be very fun to eat. So nice and small. I have a good mixture of colors here. We have some dark, almost purple, some red, blue, yellow, white, orange. All right. So just to show you what it looks like right now. So I have my tomatoes separated over here. I have everything else that I've cooked is just kind of sauteing right here on the side, just mixing all those juices up. Every now and then you're just touching those red bell peppers because that's what you're really aiming for. That just needs to get a little bit soft, not very soft, because you do want that texture, but you don't want the texture of it being raw. You don't really want that major crunch, but you want that little bit of crunch, you know. Now, I just use about a handful of spinach leaves, but seeing how much it reduced down, I would recommend doing 2, maybe even 3 handfuls. Really using that spinach as a good base. It's a good leafy green. It's going to be very high in nutrients. All that water is going to get out of there, so you're really going to be left with just that nutrients there from the spinach. And it's going to provide a very good color of green, because the green that was in here that was playing really well with the red has kind of gotten shifted down. Now, I'm not going to add it right now, but at this point, if you had wanted to, you could have thrown in some spinach. All right, you can throw in spinach. It cooks down really quickly, so you don't need to worry about it being, oh, it's too late, I didn't have enough time to add it in there. All right, excellent. So I'm going to flip one of these tomatoes over. They're getting there. Good. Excellent. All right, so now I'm going to mix all of them together. Throw all this in here. And since I'm coming near the end here, we're going to start heating up our pan for our omelet. I'm going with a little bit under medium. All right. I want it to be hot, or not hot, warm, but not too cold. You don't want to get too hot. It's going to melt your butter. It's going to brown that butter. It's going to cook the outside of your omelet too evenly. You don't want it to be too slow, because then your omelet's taking too long. You're never going to get that inside fully cooked. You need to find that good, perfect, and it's going to be different for everybody's oven. So, you just gotta get that feeling. You'll know it after you cook 1 or 2 omelets this way about what you really want. We'll walk you guys through it when you do that. So, don't be afraid to get rough with the tomatoes. You're going to see they're starting to lose. They're starting to get squished. They're starting to get beat up in there. That's okay. All that juices that you had that was just boiling up around, mix that in with everything. Get that skin together. nice and smooth. It's gonna shrink down the size of the tomato. It's gonna get all that little bit that extra moisture that you have, because they are. I mean, tomatoes are just it's a lot of water in there. Excellent. Kind of smush that down a little bit. Spread out all that stuff. Make sure you get everything off your spatula. And we're gonna set this off the heat off to the side. And so this is our finished product here. Look at all that color, nice and colorful right here. I don't want to hang it up too much. Smells amazing. You know, it's you still get that little bit of that smell from the spices, but at the same time, it's not overpowering. It's not the only thing I'm smelling. I can smell that fresh tomato. I can smell that garlic in here. So really good there. So that's excellent. Now we're gonna do our omelet.
I've never put garlic in my vegetables for an omelet. That was something new.
I really wanted to go with that Mediterranean taste, and I can't think of having it without garlic. And that's
Right.
probably just me. And that's
I'm
just
gonna do it next time.
I
If
love garlic.
If it isn't dessert, garlic goes in it for me. Just everything.
You know, it's just the Italian way of cooking, you know. You should be happy I didn't pour red wine in there. You know, I could have really, we could be going with it. Oh, I'm going to cook you an omelet, and then it ends up just, oh, well, let's just cook spaghetti then. You know, which, when I'm really looking at this, it would not be bad if you wanted to make a vegetable pasta with this mixture. Throw this in with just some olive oil pasta, maybe some grilled chicken. So if you make this for the inside of the omelet and you have some left over, there's another option for you. You can throw that in there. This is just a filler of vegetables. It's full of all this great nutrients. It's healthy for you no matter which way you eat it, all right? You could probably eat it raw if you wanted to, but I don't think it would be that great. It needs that big protein to go with it. Some starch as well. All right, so this is nice and warm. Put our butter on there. Get that started. Now you want to be sure when you're cooking your butter for your omelet not to let it burn. All right.
Hey, Corey,
Yep.
home ec coming out of me, that handle needs to be inside or you're gonna hit it and it's gonna go all to the floor. Please.
Yes,
You're
ma'am.
making me nervous.
The one with the vegetables.
The one with the vegetables. Thank you.
When your little girl starts walking, you'll learn that quickly.
Thank you, ladies. Thank you. All right. So you don't want to keep your pan on the heat the whole time whenever you're cooking your butter. You want to just pick it up every now and then, move it around, but let it sit every now and then so it melts a little more, then move it around. Nice and good. If your pan's warm enough, once you put that butter on there, you can almost keep it off the whole time and move it around. All right. So while that that is melting, though, don't forget to beat and crack your eggs. All right. A little bit too small of a bowl, so I upgraded. All right. Good. So I got my butter all the way melted. It hasn't even started to brown yet, which is perfect. That's the time to start. We get that in there. Whisk your egg nice and good. Give it a good 30-second whisk right before you put it in. You want to make sure it's nice and mixed up, especially because when you're making these omelets, you're adding water. All right, so you want to make sure that those two parts don't separate. Nice. Change your direction. Up, down, left, right, in and out, circles, counterclockwise, clockwise, and good. All right. So now that the egg's in the pan, I moved it up to medium. Got a little bit hotter, all right? And I'm just gonna move it up. I'm just moving it up to medium while I'm letting the bottom cook. And then I'm gonna put it right back down just a little bit less than medium. On my oven, it's like 1 to 2 little clicks down from medium. So if medium's 50%, I may be at a 35 to 40% when you're looking at your heat for your majority of your cooking. But right now, I have it on medium. It's about 50% cooking. And you know, the one thing you want to do when you're making your omelet is you're not scraping the bottom. The bottom of it, that's your perfect, but you do want to move the top around just a little bit. Move it around. Make sure you get the edge pushed down on the edge of it. That way you can make sure the egg starts forming that little lip. Because without that lip later on, it's going to start to tug. You want to make sure that it's nice. It understands what the egg needs to do, and that is be fluid, be motion, or be able to move around while still being solid. All right, so I can already see the bottom of the egg starting to white and yellow out. All right, so depending on how hot you cook your egg, you might end up having some bubbles form. Do not pop the bubbles, all right? Let it wait there, let it cook. If eventually the bottom of your egg can be solid enough that you can push down and let that air escape out the side, all right? But I can tell you, if one starts to form, it's gonna form again and again. So just make sure, and as our egg starts to heat up more and it starts to become a lot more solid, you're gonna make sure you're still moving around that top layer around so it's nice and even. So I use 2 eggs and 1.5 tablespoons of water. You can use, if you move up to 3 eggs, just increase another ½ tablespoon of water. You don't want to make it equal, so don't do 2 eggs and 2 tablespoons of water because you don't want it to be too liquidy. You want it to still have that good egg amount. So already starting to see some nice heat. So I'm going to crack it down. Our bottom layer is nice and formed. Let me find out where I put my phone. And good. Can y'all see me? My other one as well? Good. Excellent. So all you can see here, it's already starting the top starting to heat to form. If you were to add cheese, now would be the perfect time. I'm a cheese on the inside kind of person. I want the outside of my omelet just be egg. Just egg. So now you want to add that cheese before it's fully melted. It's going to help it stick it in there. That's going to help that be a really cheesy egg. See here, half of my egg is moving, half of it is not. So we're going to make sure we're going to move some of this stuff over and just kind of lightly graze this on top. Okay, good. Make sure it's nice and even. You don't want some places to be thicker than others because that's going to be your weaker area. Make sure as you are pushing down, you should see the whole egg start to move. That's good. Means you got a good separation from the pan and your egg. If your omelet sticks, it's done. Just make scrambled eggs at that point because that's what you got. You're not gonna, if your omelet sticks and you try to flip it and rips in half, just chop it all up, mix it all together, serve it as a scrambled egg. And when somebody says, "Where's my omelet?" you say, "Yeah, cook it yourself." All right. Nice and easy. You don't want to let it go too much. In fact, we're probably going to end up adding the ingredients for this inside as it becomes fully cooked, because we're going to have some time still after we flip over the egg. We're going to have some time for it to heat up and make sure that everything's the same temperature, because our ingredients that we're throwing in the inside, they've sat off on the side for a little bit. They've probably cooled down. You don't want to just throw them in here and then throw it right on your plate, because it's not going to be all the same temperature, and that's what you need. You want a nice uniform temperature from egg to filling to egg. What's another thing you don't want to do when it comes to cooking omelets? Nothing?
Flip it. Let me see you flip it.
Don't flip it. That's what you don't want to do. You don't want to flip the egg.
I was thinking you don't want to leave the inside a little bit runny.
I am leaving the inside a little bit runny. Now, a little bit runny, so you can see it's still, I'm moving it around. The top's still moving a bit different from the side, but I can really give it a shake, and it's not losing any of its texture. So I'll put my phone down for a second, right over here on top of the salt, and grab some of this inside and start to, nice and easy, put it off to the side. So we got the inside, the outside cooked. We're going to shift it down a little bit more. I'm at 25% power now on my burner. Okay, so from medium to midway between medium and half, get all that delicious right over to the edge, and on one side. Don't fill up your omelet all the way unless you have another omelet to put on top. All right.
Frittata.
Okay. Good. All right. Okay. Now here comes the easiest part. Flipping the top over. So what you're going to do is you're going to get your edge of your spatula underneath that top. Very careful. Good. You're going to bend the thing towards where your spatula is and just allow yourself to get all the way up under, and then just nice and easy flip it over. And beautiful egg color. But
Bravo, good job.
I want to get a little bit more of a brown. That's I love it to be a little bit more brown. I want the outside to be a bit more, not say toasted, but right now, because it's been stuck underneath the egg, it's still very wet from the butter. And I kind of want to let that kind of dry out a little bit. So we flip it over. And the first thing we're going to do is we're going to try to flip it over the other way. Now we've had this one side getting a bit more. So wish me luck. What I'm going to do is I'm going to get underneath it on the side that's open. Shake it under. I'm right underneath it. Tilt my spatula off to the side. So now it's right over here at one edge. Spatula's in on the open side. Right there. And then not like that. Just right over. And I only lost one mushroom. So, very good. Excellent. Turn the heat back up just a little bit. And get some plates. You are ready to eat.
I want some. I want some.
I got a plate right here for you, Kirsten. Right
Thank
here.
you.
I'll
Thank you.
put my address in this chat, and you guys can just head on over. I'll serve it out the window like I'm a neighborhood chef.
I was gonna say, what's your address? We'll all go
Well-
to Georgetown.
We'll bicycle over, right?
In Georgetown? He lives in Georgetown. No.
Now, when you're taking your omelet off, once it's done, you want to slide it off. Okay, we're not picking it up because your omelet's not a very tough or together meal, okay? It's still open, it's still freedom. So we are gonna, nice and easy, slide that off, turn off your top.
Garnish it with some parsley.
Garnish it with some parsley, yes. I have my lobster cooking in the other room, so to throw on top of this. So that's just me. But here we have it. Finished
Pretty.
omelet. You can hear my baby now.
Yeah, she's
Not very
hungry.
happy. She there's a song that plays that she does not like and she cries.
Oh,
All right, so
I thought she was
guys
smelling the
inside.
food and asking for hers.
I know, right?
So nice and
Oh, it looks
colorful
delicious.
inside there, and good. We'll cut this right in half.
At least you're sharing, cut it in half.
Oh, Ray gets to eat now.
So you can see this beautiful color,
Ooh.
nice and flavorful.
Beautiful.
Mmm,
Delicious.
really good. And you know what? You know what I forgot to do, which may end up working in my favor, is I did not season the egg. Nobody
Ooh,
caught
salt
that,
or
did they?
pepper,
I salt and peppered the inside. I did not season the egg though.
not the egg.
So I do recommend if you are going to season the egg, season it when you're whisking it. That way it gets nice and mixed up and it's not just it's not just on one side. All right. So let's try this out. The egg's nice and tough. That's good. Not like so tough that it's like hard to eat. It's sticking together really well. Mm. Mm-hmm. So, thoughts on it? It could have used some more seasoning in the egg. It's just a little bit more salt, no more pepper. So I would just recommend just adding salt with a pinch of, but you still get that really rich. The bell peppers could cook a little bit longer, so make sure they're a little bit more because the skin is still tough. The inside, I got that excellent texture I wanted to. You can feel when you're biting it in that there's something else in there, but the skin is still tough. That it's starting to almost when I bite into it, it's stringing. You know, the skin is just being skin. So there are ways you can help that. Chop smaller little bits of the bell pepper, then you won't have to worry about it. Or just make sure you cook it a little bit more. Or if you really wanted to go crazy, you can broil the skin, broil the ingredients on a pan, and that way you really get that nice. You can broil the bell pepper along with the tomatoes. Those both ingredients have that skin that would work really well with boiling. And then you can throw all that in there, and that skin's gonna be really nice and soft afterwards as well. And it's gonna be really nice and juicy. So going back over here though to our first recipe that we had here. Now that we've let it go for a little bit longer, I can just kind of pick this up. So here's the bottom. Nice, good. Top is good.
Had you made those before?
I have not made anything I made today. In fact, I have not made anything. I don't think I've made anything that I've made for this class before, except in the way I test it out, which is I just test out parts of each recipe. More sugar.
It doesn't sound crunchy.
It's not crunchy.
It's not crunchy, okay.
Mhm.
Even though
No.
there's oats, I think of crunchy.
Because it's all mixed together in the way it baked, it really got soft.
I would think the almond butter might have helped make it soft a little too.
It definitely did. The almond butter is very oily.
Yeah.
It has really good flavor. It could use, I used a very tart apple because I really wanted to get it out there and kick it. And when I bite into a piece of the apple, you really taste it. Maybe have more apple. That when you really get some more, this could benefit a lot from some cinnamon and raisins. So no extra like sugar, but just put cinnamon and raisins in this.
Cinnamon
And I
raisin.
think it would do really well. Cinnamon's going to get that flavor in there without adding any of that extra sugar, and the raisin's going to have its own sugar in there as well. It'd be a nice, good, healthy alternative for you.
Well, if you hadn't picked the raisins out of the raisin bran, you would have had them.
Yes.
I was thinking about that. Why throw away the raisins?
I know.
Well, I didn't throw them away. I put them back
Sure
in
you-
the bag.
Oh,
See,
I
have
thought maybe you
whole
ate them.
organic raisin bran that'll be sitting here. Just wait for our next 4 ingredients to just be all raisin bran.
Well, the next time it's going to have double the raisins, though. We won't know.
But it's good.
Yeah.
It's chewy, not crunchy.
When you first bit into it, you said something about more sugar. We didn't use sugar. So does that mean more honey?
Yes. So it needed to be sweeter in my opinion. And so we talked about like what you could add in there. Cinnamon and raisins would be good. More honey would be good as well.
Okay.
And you know what? An almost better way to add honey to this without having to affect the way it bakes, because I'm afraid that if you put a lot of honey, it would affect the way that it bakes because it's a lot more liquid, is if you drizzle the honey on top.
Oh, after it's
Well, it cools.
Yes. So while it cools, drizzle that honey across on top. I think that would be perfect.
What about coconut? I know
coconut?
Some of
Um,
those power bars have coconut.
Yes. Some people said you could use coconut oil, and I think or the coconut kind
Flour.
of paste or flour would work as well. Yeah, that would work well. Almond, if you want to do almond oil or avocado, or not avocado oil, but
That would be
any other
interesting.
oil. Yeah. Of course, avocado toast is a very good breakfast meal. Avocado can be very sweet too if you add some sugar into it. I don't know if you guys have ever tried avocado ice cream.
I haven't.
No, my wife and my mother-in-law love it. We make it all the time because you can't find it anywhere. Nobody thinks of avocado as a fruit, even though it is.
Yeah,
Just like nobody thinks of tomato as a fruit, even though it is.
it has seeds. Yeah.
So, all right, so let me type in our ingredients that we had here. So we started with 2 eggs beaten, 1 and 1/2 tablespoon of water. I had 3 cloves garlic, 1/2 onion. I just used a white onion. You could even, depending on the flavor, you can use a yellow onion or you can use a sweet onion. It's your personal preference there. It's the best thing about this omelet is you can interchange all of these vegetables, and it'll all work together. If you really want to add some zucchini in here, you could add zucchini instead of the mushrooms.
Even shredded carrots makes it sweet.
Shredded carrots, butternut squash that I had off to the side would have worked out really well in there. And when you add all
Put
those
your
sweet
salt and
ingredients,
pepper on
put
the
some more-
eggs.
salt and pepper on the eggs, yeah. So we had our cherry tomatoes. So I used 10 cherry tomatoes, cut in half. And then I had 10 slices of baby Bella mushrooms, cut in half. I cut it in half because they're pretty big, and I hate when I bite into a sandwich or food or anything, and I bite one ingredient and I pull that ingredient out in whole. I like everything to be bite-sized or chopped up so that when I bite it, it's just I get to choose how much I want to eat rather than having to, I have this big mushroom in there. I have to, then my next bite has less mushroom, So after that, we have a handful. So I used a handful of spinach, baby spinach. I recommend 2 or 3. So that's just my change afterwards. What I recommend. I used 1 large pinch of McCormick's Italian seasoning, specifically thyme, sage, basil, oregano, and rosemary. I don't think it has anything else in there. Oh, it has marjoram. And it says savory.
It's a new herb.
Is it an herb? I've seen it before. Savory, yes. I don't know if it's a mixture, but there is I haven't even opened it. I have this rack of seasoning that we got at our wedding from 2016. Half the things are completely empty. Half the things we've never touched. And it's amazing. We love it, but we just, when we replace it, we don't fill those things up. We just buy another one of these, and then eventually the things can be done. So, and then it has savory as well, whatever that is. All right. So, if forgetting anything, salt and pepper to taste, and 1 tablespoon of butter for a pan under the pan. At the pan, that's what you put in right there after the egg. Before you cook the egg, you melt it but don't brown it, and then you put the egg right into there. That way, it's going to really help with making sure it doesn't stick to your pan.
What did you cook the vegetables in? Was that a little bit of olive oil?
Yes, olive oil. You can cook those in butter, and you can exchange that oil for anything that you want to exchange it for. It just needed something to help it sizzle and something to help it just not burn on the pan. So I used, I'd probably say about a tablespoon of olive oil.
Just gross.
Yeah, I'm a big proponent of, feeling how you cook. So everything's going to be different every time, but it's going to be good because you have that feeling for it. So, and one medium bell pepper, any color works. If you want to spice this up, I'd recommend you can chop up some jalapenos or maybe even habanero, depending on your own spice level that you like. If you really just want to make it nice and easy, you can just do some crushed red pepper flakes. That would also work. And you could even save that for afterwards so that you can really let the person decide how much they want to add into there. Although I didn't use it today, we have the meat alternative, a turkey sausage or any kind of sausage. If you were to add that into the ingredients in the meal today, I would recommend that you cook it with the vegetables. All right. And then you can throw that on the inside of the omelet, or you can cook it on the outside of the omelet, but make sure you cook it, get that juices to really just throw in with the flavor of the vegetables. And I think it'll work out really well.
And probably if you use the sausage, you wouldn't want to start with the olive oil. You use the sausage, cook it first, then those oils could cook all your veggies.
Yes, if you have turkey sausage, you're still gonna need some kind of oil, but if you have just regular, kind of sausage, you won't need any olive oil. So yes, yeah, you can kind of measure that. If you put bacon in there, you definitely don't need any oil. That would be more than enough. You might want to throw in, you can put probably a little bit of butter in there if it becomes too dry. Yeah, you don't want to put any cold oil after you've already started. But outside of that,
I use Mrs. Dash sometimes on my eggs instead of salt and pepper. Do you ever use that, Mrs. Dash? It's like original. Yeah, I'm familiar with it, but I don't. It's just like a seasoning, like a. I don't cook eggs too often. When I do cook eggs, it's sunny side up or scrambled. So, but I know how to, you can do poached eggs and stuff. Eventually I'll have to get a good hollandaise sauce and make an eggs Benedict. But last time I made a hollandaise sauce, last time I made a hollandaise sauce, it broke and it was not very good. So, but yeah. All right. Well, ladies, do you have any questions? Job, Corey. Thank you.
Thank you. Perfect.
Excellent. All right. If you have any questions about the way I cooked anything, feel free to send me an email. I'd be happy to walk you guys through it again. As of course, this class is going to be has been recorded, and we'll be throwing it up online as well. And I'm going to be really happy to work on a lot of that. So expect to see a lot of new videos on the YouTube page. If you missed any classes in the past in January, they're going to be popping up there. So until next time, before I go,
Maybe.
Newsletter?
Bringing us cookies.
Oh, before
Oh,
I
there
There
oh,
she, yeah,
there she
Eloise.
is. She's watching a
Hello,
TV show, so
Eloise.
she doesn't really quite pay attention. There you go, baby. Good. Yeah.
On TV.
Yes.
Yes, she has
Thank you.
developed how to spit. Love that. She's fake coughing, so that's fun. She knows that it gets her. She's doing stuff to get reactions out of people now.
Of course.
Throws fits. Last night, Annie was up till 2 a.m. when she was there sleeping together and did not want to go to bed because she was watching her show, and then it stopped, and that was it. No more. I don't want to go to bed. I just want to watch TV all night long. Right.
She's a night owl.
Yes, she's very excited, but she's been sleeping very well. When she sleeps, when most often she sleeps through the night, so it's good. She is heavy. She is almost. She just turned 5 months 6 days ago, and I want
Wow.
to say she's pushing 20 pounds. She's getting pretty. She's getting very
Oh,
heavy.
daddy.
Yeah, aren't you? Ooh.
It's
Ooh.
adorable.
All right. Well, until next time, ladies.
Bye-bye.
If you're not having nothing to do this Friday, we're gonna be at Lakewood Park in the morning at 9 a.m. fishing. So I'll be happy to show you guys some fish that I hopefully will catch, and maybe we'll get a chance to cook it too.
We
I saw
don't
the
need to get a
newsletter
fishing
at the
license?
Library. Sorry.
Well, you
Okay.
do if you want to take your fish home.
Yeah.
But if you just want to catch the fish, you do not need a fishing license. And if we come down to it where you guys really want to catch and keep some of the fishes, I have a fishing license that I can go and grab again and renew. I was planning on doing it anyways. And
Okay.
so we can just claim it's under me, and
You caught them.
yeah, we'll cut this part of the video though. We don't wanna
Good, thank you.
give the game warden some fraud there. See, here he goes. Corey's stealing what catfish?
So Corey, I did see the newsletter at the library.
Excellent. Yes.
So,
We have it out at the library and the golf course. We're still working on putting it out at some more city locations. We're probably going to start with February just being at the senior living apartments and the HEB. But we're hoping to, kind of expand beyond there and really get it to be everywhere in town. So it's fun.
Yeah.
Very excited.
great.
I hope you guys submit a story or an article for the next one. We'll be asking for that in the next week or so. So start thinking about what you want to write about. And until next time, y'all have a great day.
Thanks.
Thank
Bye-bye. See
you.
you later.
Bye.
Bye.
All right. Bye, everybody.
Bye-bye.